Good evening, everybody. It's great to be with you here tonight. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about yoga as well as learning some yoga poses a little bit later on together. So, yoga is becoming increasingly popular among older adults. And it's no wonder since it's safe, effective, and it can be performed in your home if you'd like. It can also be performed elsewhere. But you also don't need any special equipment to perform yoga. It's usually performed barefoot, and you can just wear fitted, athletic, or leisure clothing. And there's even a subtype of yoga that's called chair yoga. And this is specific for the older population, and it's performed sitting down in a chair to further increase safety for those that have balance or mobility issues. And then outside of chair yoga, these poses can also be modified or adapted to suit any fitness or ability level. So some types of yoga contain stretching, while some do not. Some are slow paced, while some are fast paced. Some focus more on breathing, while some focus more on the meditation part. And then some are even done in a heated room to flush out body toxins. So there really is something for everyone, and yoga is not a one size fits all activity. Yoga is not just a form of physical exercise, but the stretching that's involved in yoga is good for mobility. The breathing and meditation are good for your emotional well being, and it results overall in greater flexibility and improved balance. Now, this is important because if we remember from our last session together, I had mentioned that between 20 to 30% of seniors experience one or more falls each year. So, yoga not only helps maintain optimal physical and mental health, but it also reduces the risks of falls and ensuing injuries. So, one of the greatest benefits of yoga is that it provides you with physical exercise, but you avoid putting stress on your joints like you otherwise might in, say, jogging or weightlifting. It also improves your posture and helps bolster bone strength. So there's even some research that shows that it improves the bone density in postmenopausal women who suffer from osteoporosis often due to reduced estrogen levels. So as I previously mentioned, yoga improves your balance because many poses focus on building core strength, and that is central to balance. And for those that find stretching boring, like myself, yoga is a great alternative to increase your range of motion in a slightly more exciting way. It has even been shown, and this one surprised me, that your lung capacity and your respiratory function can be improved in only 12 weeks through the breathing control practices that are a part of yoga. And then from an emotional perspective, yoga can help reduce stress and anxiety through meditation by reducing cortisol levels, which is our main stress hormone. A survey by the National Institute of Health reported that over 85% of people who practice yoga experience reduced stress levels. So that's almost everybody that practices yoga. And then lastly, yoga has been shown to help with insomnia and help reduce sleep disturbances. Now, the things that I just mentioned do not encompass all the benefits of yoga. It also helps manage arthritis because, as I mentioned, it's good on your joints. It helps manage digestive issues. It even lowers the risk of cardiovascular disease and truly so much more. So while there are countless benefits to yoga, some may want to consult a healthcare professional before starting a routine. Now, the reason for this is because certain people with certain medical issues, so for example, glaucoma, there's certain poses that involve having your head down, and that can actually increase the pressure in your eyes when it's already high. And so doing these kinds of poses can exacerbate that condition. So glaucoma is just one example, but for people who have other medical conditions, it could be a good idea to consult your physician before starting a new physical activity routine. So now we're just going to learn a few basic yoga poses. I'm going to try to fit myself in the entire screen. So the first is the tree pose. Hopefully you can all see me. So for the tree pose, you want to put one leg up. You want to put one leg up and balance it on your other leg. So I have this leg, again, leaning against this one. And then you just want to have your hands in front of you like this. And you can hold this for as long as you want. I'm just going to move back in case you can't see me. So this would be the tree pose. And I'm having a hard time holding it for a little bit of time. I need to work on my balance myself. Now this is a great pose for improving balance, as I just mentioned. And don't worry if you can't stand on one foot right away, because you can modify this pose. So the exact pose I was just doing, you could hold on to something, a chair, a wall, lean on something to support yourself while standing on that one foot, and it will still help you improve your balance. Yes, it is difficult to balance. So aside from balance, though, it's also great for your legs and building lower body strength. So I have a question from Veronique, that there are different types of yoga. Yes. Is there a particular type of yoga that beginners should start with, especially if they have poor core strength? So I wouldn't say if you're a beginner that you have to do a certain type of yoga, whether it's a fast-paced one or a slow-paced one or a heated one. But if you are a beginner and you want to work on your core strength, then there are a few poses that focus on your core strength. So I would say just focus on certain poses as opposed to certain types of yoga. And honestly, you can modify it. If you like to be in the heat to flush out toxins, you can do that. If you like it to be slower paced, you can hold it for longer than you typically would. It's really up to you and up to what your needs are and what your physical abilities are. So kind of actually moving on from that question, the next pose that I'm going to show you, the triangle pose, is actually great for building core strength. So again, I'm just going to try to fit myself in the screen. So the triangle pose, again, you want to spread out your legs so as to form a triangle. And then with one hand, reach down to your ankle, kind of hold it. And with your other hand, reach up to the sky. And you want to hold this for, again, as long as you wish. Now this pose is great for your hamstrings and your hip muscles. So you'll see as soon as you do it, you're going to feel an opening up of your pelvis. You're going to feel that stretch in the posterior chain, your hamstrings. And again, you're going to feel your core tightening because you're going to have to hold yourself up sideways. So this is great for strengthening your core while at the same time opening up your muscles. And the added benefit of strengthening your core is that you actually help alleviate lower back pain. So a lot of lower back pain is not just from having weak lower back muscles. It's actually from having weak core muscles, and that in turn causes lower back pain. So when we strengthen our core, we actually help ourselves to alleviate lower back pain. And also, this pose can be modified to be seated. So again, that's that chair yoga that I was referring to. So seated, I can have my legs spread out in a triangle. Again, I can reach down to one ankle and reach up to the sky with my other arm. And again, you will feel that same thing. You will feel your hips opening up, and still you will be working your core even if you are seated. So now we're going to move on to the warrior pose. So the warrior pose has you in a lunge. So you're going to want to step 1 foot forward, lunge a little forward with the leg that's in front, and then just reach up to the sky. And you can look up at the same time. And again, hold it for as long as you want. And then, of course, the ones that are on one leg, you want to do it again on the other side. Lunge and reach up and look up. Now this pose opens up your chest and it opens up your hips while strengthening your calves, your ankles, and your legs. So this is great for posture and it's great for balance. And again, just like the other poses, it can also be modified. So if you find that reaching up or looking up is too difficult and you can't find your balance, you could always have your hands to your side to help you coordinate yourself better. So as you can see from the warrior pose, there can be one pose that targets so many different muscle groups, which is part of what makes yoga so effective. Is that in one pose, you can be stretching your muscles, you can be increasing your range of motion, you can be strengthening your muscles, and you can be meditating, doing breath work at the same time. Now, as I mentioned previously, there's the modification of yoga called chair yoga. And these poses are done seated in a chair. So again, this is for the benefit of those who find it difficult to stand or are not as mobile. So I just wanted to share 2 chair yoga poses with you as well. Now the first is called sun salutation with twists. And you're just sitting straight up in your chair. You're going to put your hands together over your head. And you're going to do that on an inhale. And when you exhale, you're going to twist to one side. Now again, inhale. And when you exhale, you're going to want to twist to the other side. And so on and so forth. And you can do that for as long as you're comfortable. Now this pose lengthens your spine because it's forcing you to sit up straight and reach up. It's also going to release the tension in your neck and your shoulders. And because of the twists, because of moving side to side while holding your arms up in the air, you're also going to be strengthening your core at the same time. Now, lastly, we have the ankle to knee. So this is what this one looks like. So again, sitting in your chair, you're going to want to take one leg and put it over the other and kind of just have it in a square shape. And then you're going to want to gently press down on the knee that's bent, like so. And if you can, or if you want added stretch, it's totally optional. You can just lean forward as well for an additional stretch. So now this is going to stretch your hips. You're going to feel it opening up your pelvis. It's going to stretch your gluteal region. And like I said, you can have that deeper stretch by pressing down and leaning forward for even more stretch. And again, onto the other side. Press down, lean forward, and stretch. Oh wow, I needed to stretch myself. So now in general, the amount of time that you hold each pose is totally up to you. Different types of yoga hold poses for different lengths of time. So the slower paced ones will hold it for over a minute, up to 2 minutes, whereas the fast paced ones might move from pose to pose a little bit quicker. But what's really important in yoga is that the pose never hurts you. So this might be the opposite of, say, weightlifting, where you're supposed to feel a little bit of burn or you're supposed to feel a little bit of pain. But in yoga, that is absolutely not the case. You want to feel a stretch, you do want to feel challenged, but you do not want to feel in pain. That pain is your body telling you that you're doing something that it's not comfortable with, whether it's a muscle that's not strong enough yet, or a ligament or a tendon that's being challenged, and again, not strong enough yet. So if you do find that you're in pain when you're doing any of these stretches or poses, then please do stop that pose and rest. And you can either modify that pose, perhaps lean against something, sit on a chair, or you can just forego that pose altogether and find something that's more suitable. So those are 5 basic stretches that I wanted to share, poses, sorry, that I wanted to share with you all tonight. And I hope that that was really informative, and I hope that everyone gets started on a yoga routine for themselves, because it's truly, truly a great form of physical activity. And also of note is that it's very easily accessible. So if you do want to go to a yoga studio, there are ones that are specific for older adults. There are ones that are specific, again, for the different types of yoga. So you could go to a studio. Alternatively, you could also hire a private yoga instructor. Again, there are some that target older Canadians, and there's all different types that you could go through with a private yoga instructor. But if you don't want to do any of those things and you like being in the comfort of your own home or with a few friends, you can hop right onto YouTube. There's a ton of free resources there for you to get started on your yoga journey. Yes, exactly. And it should be like that. There should be more forms of physical activity that are more easily accessible at home. Especially, I think that's something that the pandemic taught us. We need to take care of ourselves, and we want to do it in the comfort of our own homes. So that's all for tonight. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to take them. But otherwise, thank you so much for your time. Thank you. Okay, so it seems like there's no questions. So again, thank you all for your time. Thank you for joining me. And I will see you again in 3 weeks for another one. Take care. Have a good night.